Malcolm X made a significant impact in the Black rights movement. He spread his opinion around newspapers, radios, and television to deliver the message of the Nation of Islam. His fame was then remarked by the FBI. They said to infiltrate spies and cameras around Malcolm X's environment. Even his own bodyguard was also a spy. He stood out because of his eloquence. A speech for which he's best known for is God's Judgment of White America is a good demonstration of this trait. Its nature is one which lends itself to intellectual honesty, especially when collecting personal responses to events. In God's Judgment of White America, Malcolm eloquently railed against the violence created by whites in the U.S., saying that the assassination of President Kennedy came from the same essential violence. Phrases such as "this little meek, humble, inaccurate ex-slave is a modern Noah, a modern Moses, a modern Daniel" contain a great deal of rhetorical and emotional force, especially for the black audience, many of whom were descended from slaves. His eloquence, which is attested to its speech, is in his appearance at the Oxford Union, which is commemorated by a series of photographs. He was too eloquent to be ignored, according to the contemporary journalist Dick Schaap, who had transformed effect, railing thousands to his banner by giving African Americans a voice. In 1964, he founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity, and moved increasingly in the direction of socialism. More sophisticated than his black Muslim days and of growing moral stature, he was assassinated by a black Muslim at a rally of his organization in New York on February 21st, 1965. Malcolm X had predicted that though he had but little time to live, he would be more important in death than in life. The most painful honesty that enabled him to find his way from degradation to devotion to his people, and the modest lifestyle that kept him on the edge of poverty, and the distance he somehow managed to put between himself and racial hatred served in that volume reminders of human possibility. Britain influenced Americans' use of the death penalty more than any other country. When European settlers came to the New World, they brought the practice of capital punishment. The first recorded execution in the new colonies was that of Captain George Kendall in the Jamestown colony, Virginia, in 1608. Kendall was executed for being a spy for Spain. Laws regarding the death penalty varied from colony to colony. The Massachusetts Bay colony held its first execution in 1630, even though the capital laws of New England did not go into effect until years later. The New York colony instituted the Duke's Laws of 1665. Under these laws, offenses such as striking one's mother or father or denying the true God were punishable by death. In more modern time, the 1960s brought challenges to the fundamental legality of the death penalty. Before then, the 5th, 8th, and the 14th Amendments were interpreted as permitting the death penalty. However, in the early 1960s, it was suggested that the death penalty was a cruel and unusual punishment, and therefore unconstitutional under the 8th Amendment.